did we miss something whenever, let me see if I can screen share this. Did we miss something with that hearing? Did he actually did he have a 410 slip or mean or accidentally slip something? Let me see. See if I can turn this up.
My name is David Charles Grusch. I was an intelligence officer for 14 years, both in the U.S. Air Force, both active duty, Air National Guard, and Reserve, at the rank of major, and most recently from 2021 to 2025. Most recently from 2021 to 2025, from 2021 to 2025, or excuse me, 2023.
You hear that? So I know this is just speculation, but do you think he's still under some type of contract till 2025?
Oh, it's very, very, very possible.
Or do you think he just slipped up? I know it's possible that he just slipped up. I know.
It could be that he slipped up, but I'm telling you, it's very possible that
I heard that. I was like, oh my God. He may have just actually let something slip.
All of these guys could be operational contractors. I know how this works. I'm telling you how it works. Operational contractors, they're not in the military anymore. They retired from the military. And now they're doing this other thing. Well, when you're an operational contractor, you are encouraged to establish your own private business, and that can be through how they pay you. And it can be contrived in a way where you start, let's say, a consultancy. You're a travel security consultant. All right.
And so they're of the government.
Yeah, you're a contractor. Well, yeah, you contract out your services or whatever. And so therefore, if you're a travel security consultant, you've got to travel a lot, right? You've got to go do threat assessments and stuff in places. You got to go. Well, that's your cover for action when you're actually out there doing your operational activity anywhere in the world or whatever. Now, how this would work with these UFO guys is, okay, guys, we want you to, we're going to make sure you get put in the spotlight and you're put forward in this community. And guys, it's a perception management op. We'll feed you your narrative. We'll give you your what's called an undercover legend. We'll give you the story that the public is going to be told about who you are and what you're doing here. And of course, there's truth in it because it's your real name. You really were in the military, whatever, you did this job and that job. But it's just like I said, the passage material. Some of it's real, some of it's not. And you literally can leave the military on Friday and Monday start doing this operational contracting, and you're given the cover. So if some guy like me questions it, you can say, well, look, this is my private company. Here's my pay stubs. Well, that can be, come on, folks. This is all stuff that's in that's already been revealed in literature and movies for decades now. I worked under, I worked under 1, 2, 3, 4 false cover companies during my career. I would go to, for instance, there was one operational job I had for the FBI, and after I finished training at Quantico, went to, hey, welcome to the squad. Now I don't want to see you around this federal building again. I had to stay away from the federal building. Why? Because I was undercover. I went to work in this building that was identified as completely different kind of company in an industrial part of town of the city I worked in. And, it was undercover. And you would get people that would walk in the door, oh, hey, I need to hire your services. And how they would work that is, oh, well, our plate is full right now, but let us refer you to these other guys across town. And that was a setup deal. The other guys across town agreed to take whatever business you threw their way, because the building it could have been a construction company. It could have been an ice cream truck company. It could have been, you name it, a company that makes mailboxes or whatever. The point is, it was a cover company. And I worked under that kind of cover 4 times in my career across different agencies. So I know what I'm talking about here. And yeah, it's kind of fun, because you're going into a building, you have an undercover identity. I think I had 7 different undercover identities throughout my career, name, credit cards, the whole thing. If you've ever seen the movie True Lies, remember that one with Schwarzenegger? In the beginning of the movie, when he returns from a mission, his buddy picks him up in the van and he hands him his stuff. He goes, okay, Harry, his real identity is Harry Tasker. So he says, Harry Tasker wallet, Harry Tasker watch, Harry Tasker wedding ring. He's given him back the things that identify. I lived that. You get in the vehicle and you got the lock bag, and you put everything that's Walter Bosley in that bag, and they keep it. But you have your undercover identity, and you get on the airplane and off you go. And for the next 30 days, you're that other guy. Okay. That's in that world. Now, in this particular thing, we're talking about the UFO community. It's more shallow, where, yeah, you use your own true identity, because what you did in the military is sufficient enough to make the false narrative or the doctored narrative or the perception that they're managing believable. Okay. Well, he had this kind of job where it's believable that he would have been working on UAPs and stuff. So what they do is they'll take what you really did and they'll spin it in a way to make the story that they're trying to get out there believable to most people. Now, there's always going to be a few people, a pains in the ass like me and others, that are going to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm throwing a penalty flag on that. But if our voice isn't loud enough or expanded enough, they can effectively ignore us. And then that, of course, is where, in this particular case, I think some of the troll activity came in. The early naysayers of, say, Lou Elizondo and TTSA were finding themselves immediately set upon by trolls, fanboy trolls, that some of it was a little too suspicious, meaning not organic, not just knuckleheads in the community wanting to believe these guys. Maybe, you know how this works, at least I've seen how it works. Imagine, a building somewhere on a base, and there's a bank of computer stations, and there's military personnel sitting there either in their service dress of the day or their BDUs, and they got their headphones on, and their job is to sit there on the computer and say, okay, our operational guy Lou, he's taking some heat in social media from this person over here, and it's getting attention. Okay, sitting there at the keyboard, troll, just hammer to at least get a countering narrative out there. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or this guy's the real deal, that kind of thing. And you say, well, would they really use the resources to do it? Yes. In a perception management operation, you will use personnel to sit there on the internet and counter things that are out there. Yes, you will do that. The intelligence world is a different ballgame. When I went to work for the FBI, just to get my foot in the door, I accepted a job as a mail clerk. Okay. The day I reported for duty, I and another girl, were pulled aside, this other new employee, and taken to separate rooms. And that's when I was introduced to the squad supervisor of an operational surveillance unit. And he says, look, we think you're qualified. Go ahead and fill out this in-house application, get it back to us, and we'll probably bring you onto the squad. So I was only a mail clerk for 45 days when I got promoted to my next temporary position, being an evidence technician. Well, it was a particular type of evidence, what they call bulky evidence. And it wasn't just in the evidence room in the federal building in LA, it's in a special vaulted thing in a different building. So when I reported to the evidence job, it was that one of the comments was, hey, welcome to the real FBI, because now you're in what's called an offsite office. And then when I got into counterintelligence, what I learned was most people thought of the FBI as chasing fugitives and bank robbers and white collar criminals and that kind of thing. And of course, yeah, they also go after spies. Well, I learned that about 70 to 75% of the Bureau's budget and effort was about the spy hunting, was about national security. And the smaller part was about that overt mission that most people know about, chasing bank robbers and things like that. So, and when you get into that world, you're working in offsite locations. There's a whole bunch of people in the organization that you never cross paths with. You can spend years working in counterintelligence for the FBI, and other FBI people you encounter after that never even knew you existed, because you're kind of sequestered. I worked on undercover squads for the FBI twice. And people say, hey, I knew a guy that worked in the New York office. He says he didn't know you. Well, Was he in counterintelligence? No. Okay. Well, we probably never had any reason to cross paths. And so, and it is a different world with the resources and the things you do and the way you do things, because you're in that bigger intelligence community, whereas the standard criminal investigation agents, they're not part of that. They're not functioning in that structure, right? When you go into the spy world, the spook world, whatever, it does become spooky because it is a different world. It's almost like there's kind of different rules. You learn, different things. So when you're getting into the complexities of these kinds of operations, they will take things to whatever extent they need to get the job done. And if that means dedicating, 10 people to sit on a computer bank to literally just be on the internet and sometimes troll critics or whatever, yeah, they'll do that. They'll do that because it's all part of the perception management. It's all part of the influencing the targeted public that you have targeted. And if when you're in that world and you work in that world, you get what I mean. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of people at the same level of experience I've got that are nodding their heads going, yep, that's the way it is. Whereas people who haven't been in the world, they're skeptical about that. They find that hard to believe.
Do you want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a patron, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link of the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.